Hey, Crystal Griffith here. Have you ever felt like all you've done is live on Zoom? Yep, me too, since 9:30 this morning. It is now 8:30. I'm pretty close to that's 11 hours. I think that is my Zoom record today, I gotta tell you. But it's so cool to be part of people's breakthroughs, and I got to be part of several breakthroughs today. I just love that. It's so much fun. I'm so glad you're joining us today for Emotions, Wisdom, and Your Body. So every day for 2021, we're going to delve deeper into how your emotions are affecting your body, soul, and spirit. Because here's the thing, if we are not in charge of our emotions, then really who is? Okay, so emotions are your body's wisdom. And here's your disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I do not play one on any social media platform. But what I am is a researcher and a person who really wants to make sure you are well educated, edified, and encouraged by all the things that your emotions can do for you and against you sometimes. So tonight's word is hostile, hostility, ugliness, really. How many of you have encountered a hostile interaction? Maybe a little road rage here or there, especially when people cut you off. Maybe you feel a little hostile when they do that, right? Or maybe they miss the light and they go through the intersection and they're hostile because maybe they have to get somewhere. Now, here's what happens when you're hostile. You are very unfriendly. You're very antagonistic, and you're having or showing unfriendly feelings, openly opposed to things, or you're resisting. You're not hospitable. Now, according to Matthew Helm, the main difference between hostility and anger is that anger is a transient emotional response, usually triggered by a perceived provocation or mistreatment. It's not going to last, though. While hostility, though, is a habitual attitude, and it doesn't require much provocation, it's usually associated with cynicism and resentment. You will often see this in many people with PTSD, and they will come across as hostile. Well, people with PTSD, on that scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're going to blow, right? Like a powder keg, they tend to actually live at a 5. They never go back down to the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are living at a 5. That is the lowest that they can get. Remember, PTSD is an undischarged plan of attack from fight, flight, fear, or faint. And so when we have that still sitting in our central nervous system, it's always on high alert. So for people with PTSD, they come across more as hostile because they're always just going to 5, and then it takes just like that to get them to 10. Whereas a typical person who doesn't have PTSD, they can go all the way back down to 1. So they begin to recharge, and they can take quite a while to get to even angry, let alone hostile. So that's why you tend to see that a lot more with people who have PTSD. Now, are you, per se, or do you know someone who has a type A personality? Perhaps cynical, irritable, sarcastic? No, never. Maybe even angry? So if those personality traits are kind of the go-to emotions that maybe you have or someone that you know and love may have, you may need to learn some ways to reduce hostility for the sake of your heart, actually. And not just from an emotional standpoint of the heart, but really your heart health. So let's look at what that means. What one particular organization did was they compared anger to hostility. So I want to go through a couple of these. Anger is temporary. Hostility is chronic and long lasting. Anger is a feeling or emotion, and hostility is really an attitude. But I'm going to tell you, it's a long-term driven emotion. Anger is being angry at a perceived insult, but hostility is really being cynical, superstitious, and suspicious of others, paranoid, thinking everyone is out to get you, self-centeredness, and really many, many narcissistic tendencies and qualities. Anger, on the other hand, really is simple. It's fight or flight response. Whereas hostility becomes a complex set of attitudes and beliefs that are continuing to cycle through and never discharge. Anger is seeing an obstacle to a fight versus hostility, which sees everyone or everything as an enemy, actually. Hence the word hostis, which means enemy. Don't you like your Latin for the day? And lastly, anger is the natural for the body and even necessary for mental health. You should be able to get angry. Remember, even Jesus got angry in the temple, right? Now, hostility, though, guess what? It can lead to premature death. That's the biggie. Do you want to die young? Do you want to die early? I don't think your grandkids would like that. I don't think your spouse would like that. So is this negative or positive emotion? With premature death on the line, I'm going to go with negative. So what's this really doing to your body? So physical symptoms of becoming hostile include your heart's beating faster, your muscles are tightening, you've got a red face, your nose bleeds. Isn't that interesting? You have dizziness. Why? Because really that tightening of those muscles can actually clamp down on your arteries and can restrict your blood flow. Hence the dizziness. You could also have tears, snarling, right? Which also means you grind your teeth, which completely just kills your jaw and your teeth, and you crack your teeth and all kinds of fun stuff. And this was an interesting one. You can have a complete inability to vocalize. You can't even speak. You are so angry. That's hostility. Now, there is some evidence of genetic predisposition. Those who may have had a family history of depression or controlling behaviors. And those researchers believe it's really primarily, though, it takes place in how a child is growing up learning in the home. They believe firmly it's more of a nurture versus nature situation. So research shared hostility has emerged as a multidimensional construct involving affect, behavior, and cognition. In general, anger refers to a negative effect ranging from feelings of irritation and annoyance to rage, and maybe even conceptualization of an acute emotional state or an enduring trait. The aggression refers to overt attacking or destructive behavior. Hostility refers to a set of negative attitudes, beliefs, and even appraisals of the worth, intent, and motives of others. So basically that hostility, you're looking at what others are doing or saying towards you, and you're taking it as a personal attack. Boy, if that's not rooted in victim mentality, I don't know what is. We should talk about that for inner heart healing. So basically, when we look at these, they have actually created an aggression questionnaire. It's called the AQ. And it's a more recent self-reporting measure, which measures the hostility spectrum of cognitions, which is your hostility, your affect, which is your anger, and your behavior, which is your physical or verbal aggression. Now, what does this really get us? That questionnaire led to them creating the Hostile Behavior Index. Yes, this is a real thing, the HBI, the Hostile Behavior Index. And the higher the score on the scale, what could that lead to? Cardiovascular reactivity during social stress, or coronary artery disease in patients, and they predict the magnitude of change in blood pressure during experiences of anger and hostility, which, guess what? Anger is a common trait among those who have had heart attacks. That's pretty crazy, folks. So the higher the scale, the more likely it is your heart is basically going to erupt. That's pretty much what this comes down to. Those are your technical science terms, by the way. Now, can you have too much hostility? Pretty much sure that leads to premature death. So yes, you can. This is a bad thing. And having an angry attitude prompts other people to react negatively to you. And it becomes really a vicious cycle. Well, they're being mean to me. They're being angry to me. They're cutting me off. It's all about them, right? Versus anger, you can be angry about a situation or about someone, but you realize it's temporary and it's not long-term. So how do you solve this problem? This is a pretty severe issue, folks. And in fact, out of all the emotions that we talked about, there have only been 2 or 3 that have actually said they lead to premature death. Hostility is one of them. We need to pay attention to this one. So how do we help this? Well, calming techniques do help, like humming or singing, even if it's off key. There's something about the vibration frequencies within our body that can actually calm your cells. Stress busters like counting to 10 before you react, practicing your breathing, practicing your meditation for a few minutes, just like we do here. And we tell you to put your name into the verses. That's a form of meditation, actually, where you can begin to read a certain psalm. If there is a psalm that you know you really identify with, memorize it, learn it. I mean, Psalm 50 is only like what, 6 verses, 7 verses? Like, it's not like these are long Psalms. I'm not telling you go learn Psalm 119, which is like 12 pages, right? Okay, so learn some Psalms that have a calming effect, and you can put your name in there because you will hear yourself talking to yourself, and it's going to help you. Also, asking yourself if something will matter in 3 weeks. Will what you are so absolutely angry about, hostile about, matter in 3 weeks or 3 months or even 3 years? More than likely, it's not going to. So inner heart healing is the last option. And that really is the key. It is allowing the Lord to go in there and get rid of the roots of what those hostility pieces are made up of. And once those are out, man, you have so much more peace and freedom and breakthrough and perspective. And you realize the world's not out to get you. God loves you. He created the world to work for you. And sometimes we just have to realize it is working for us and not against us. It takes some practice. It takes some heart healing. So here are your wisdom verses for the day. Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 4:23. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the wellspring of life. And then Ephesians 2:12-14. But now in Christ Jesus, for who you were once far away, have been brought near through the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace. He lives in you. So that means the peace is already in you, right? And remember, we've talked about this. And the peace in you can overwhelm the chaos around you. That's key, right? So he who has made the two one and has torn down the dividing wall of hostility by abolishing his flesh, the law of commandments and decrees. So Jesus came to abolish that hostility and anything that's creating and causing it. So how do you see this new information about hostility? Was this new to you? Did you know it really could lead to death? My goodness, we don't want that for you. We want you around. You have a promise to fulfill, a calling to live, a destiny to absolutely interact with. And we want you to be able to do that well. So remember, wisdom is the hearing, the understanding, and the application of those things that you've heard tonight. So here are your 3 questions. How has hostility been showing up in your life? Maybe you've been on the receiving end of it. That's not healthy either. And that's going to cause you a lot of heart health issues as well. Has it been showing up positive or negative, and why? Have you been allowing it to happen? What do I mean by that? You know, sometimes we tend to surrender our voice when we know something is being said or acted upon towards us, and we just think it's better to just stay quiet and let it pass. And I'm going to encourage you to find your voice. Be stronger, be bold as a lion with confidence of David, because you are worthy to be treated respectfully. You are worthy to be treated and treasured and cherished. And so if there are people in your life who are not choosing to do that, then I want to encourage you to find your voice and say, nope, that's not okay. And once you have calmed down, I'd be happy to continue the conversation and then leave the situation so you are safe and you do not have to interact with that kind of chaos. Okay, guys, want you to give yourself permission to do that. Would you do that for me? Now, the other thing is, how can you transform any type of hostility that you're encountering by wisdom, understanding, and application as you walk in it moving forward? So take the scriptures, put your name in them. For example, Crystal, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the wellspring of life. That's how you do that. Go live, share with us. What did you learn about hostility today, and how are you going to make changes in your life with it? Tomorrow's word is impatience, which is really, really cool that I wrote that. And I just realized that because one of the breakthroughs that somebody had today was all about impatience. How cool is that? And God already had me write that on there. So impatience plus hostility equals stress. Did you know that? There's your little formula for the day. I know math is everywhere, isn't it? I might need some help with that one. No math tonight. Join us again tomorrow for more on emotions, wisdom, in your body. Register at kcrystalgriffith.com to receive more insights and your feelings wheel. And I can't wait to be with you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Take care.